What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
You talking about the like Mexican sailboat or whatever, like a pirate ship looking thing?
Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the Dow. We've been thinking
I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. Like, the fuck?
this is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away.
That was so weird.
We feel betrayed. We were raised to
I'll show it on the stream if you guys haven't seen it.
wake up back of
I am very aggravated with people from my town.
haters face the world's mistakes. Wake up back of the pack. We kill it anyway.
Oh, there's the video I was looking for the other day.
And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake up back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To play. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake up back of the pack. Kill it anyway.
Stop that and roll the intro, I guess.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I'm Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Yeah, that ship is like, from what I know about it, so there's like a Mexican training academy, like naval training academy, and at the end of their 4 years, the seniors that are graduating from there, every year they take it and set sail in it. It's like the final exam plus a trip plus it's fun plus they're still learning kind of deal, even though it's like an old sailboat. Yeah, it takes off with the cadets to finish their training, and they travel all around. And apparently, I'll show you the video, but I don't know what, like they have to know how tall the ship is. And bridge height is easily marked on fucking navigable waterways. Like I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It just didn't make any sense. It went to New York. The ship sometimes they'll go to Iceland. France, Scotland. They'll go all over the place in that. Like over like 300 days they're on that ship, which is a cool experience. But let's see. I got the video pulled up. Is this it? It's wild. The Brooklyn Bridge, dude. Here we go. So that's the vessel there, all lit up. You'll see it come into frame. So they don't actually hit the bridge. They hit this under, like, this work platform. But still, I mean, it almost looks like they're out of control already because they're aiming right towards this dock. They're coming in fast. I would just watch it. And are they not, is that tugboat right beside them not fucking tugging them? There's a tugboat right here. Is it not tied to it?
Stop! Se chocó! Oh my God! Se chocó! ¡Córranse de ahí! ¡Muévanse!
And they're coming right at this dock. And from the direction of change right here, it looks like the tugboat's pulling them now. The whole thing's weird. And then you'll see in a second, there were people up in those masts. Luckily, it's 2025 and not like the 1700s. They all had safety harnesses on, but still. And then it just stops dead. Boom, stops. Hold on, they zoom in on some of these people in just a second. It's a cool ship. See the people hanging up there? There are people hanging up there with harnesses on. I think they zoom in on this video. If this is the video I watched on TikTok, they do.
No midieron la altura con proporción al puente de Brooklyn. No, pero se vinieron en contra del muelle. Sí, no midieron la altura con proporción al puente. No, pero él se les vino también para acá, claro. Mira ese chico colgado, vea.
Vodka, the drink most associated with Mexico. See the guy in his harness? Those harnesses can be dangerous too. If you don't get out of harnesses pretty quick, you'll pass out in them. They have some that even have emergency stirrups you can step into. Some of them have seats built into them. It just depends on what kind of harness you have. But if you just have like the standard one that just has 2 loops around your leg, cuts off blood flow, you pass out. It can be pretty dangerous. I'm talking about like passing out within like a couple minutes.
Lo tuvieron que sí, mira que hay alguien que está golpeado que no se está ni moviendo. Allá los que estaban en la parte de arriba, mira. Los que estaban arriba se tuvieron que haber lastimado contra el puente. Hay uno que no se está ni moviendo. Yo espero.
That's right.
Mira,
The famous Mexican Heineken drink.
uno que se ven los pies y no se ve nada de movimiento. Míralo allí. Están. Dios mío. Se tuvieron que haber dado duro varios. Mira, ya atrás es que no se alcanza.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Oh my God.
19 people injured, 4 seriously. The New York City Mayor says 19 people were injured, 4 seriously when a Mexican tall ship struck the Brooklyn Bridge. The span was spared major damage. Mexican Navy sailing ship hit the Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday during a promotional tour in New York City. the top of its 3 masts slamming into the iconic span and partially collapsing as the boat floated in the East River. The New York Fire Department press desk confirmed that authorities responded to injuries, but had no details about how many people might have been hurt or whether they were on the vessel or on the bridge. In a scene captured in multiple eyewitness videos, the mast could be seen snapping and partially collapsing as they crashed into the deck of the bridge. Video showed heavy traffic on the span at the time of the collision. The vessel, which was flying a giant green, white, and red Mexican flag, then drifted towards the edge of the river as onlookers scrambled away from shore. Sydney Needle and Lily Katz told the Associated Press they were sitting outside to watch the sunset when they saw the vessel strike the bridge and one of its masts snap. Looking closer, they saw someone dangling from the high on the ship. We saw someone dangling, and it couldn't tell if it was just blurry or my eyes, and we were able to zoom in with our phone, and there was someone dangling from a harness from the top at least like 15 minutes before they were able to rescue them, Katz said. That's probably the people they brought out on stretchers. They said they saw 2 people removed from the ship on stretchers onto smaller boats. The Mexican Navy said in a post on social media platform X that the Cuauhtémoc, I don't know, an Academy training vessel was damaged in an accident with the Brooklyn Bridge that prevented it from continuing its voyage. It added that the status of personnel and materials was under review by the naval and local authorities, which were providing assistance. The Foreign Affairs Ministry said on X that its ambassadors to the U.S. and officials from the Mexican consulate in New York were in contact with local authorities to provide assistance to the affected cadets, but it did not mention injuries. The Brooklyn Bridge was opened in 1883 as nearly 600-foot main span that is supported by 2 masonry towers. More than 100,000 vehicles and an estimated 32,000 pedestrians cross every day, according to the city's transportation department, and its walkway is a major tourist attraction. The ship, about 300 feet long and 40 feet wide, according to the Mexican Navy, sailed for the first time in 1982. Each year, it sets out at the end of classes at the Naval Military School to finish cadets training. This year, it left the Mexican port of on the Pacific coast on April 6th with 277 people on board, the Navy said. The Mexican consulate said May 13th on X that the ship, also called the Ambassador and Knight of the Seas, arrived that day and docked at Pier 17. It invited people to visit it through May 17th. Look at all the 17s. This is a calm, isn't it? The ship was scheduled to visit 22 ports in 15 nations, including Kingston, Jamaica, Havana, Cuba, Cozumel, Mexico, and New York. It had also planned to go to Iceland, Bordeaux, St. Malo, Dunkirk, France, Aberdeen, Scotland, and many others for a total of 254 days, 170 of them at sea. So there you go. That's what happened with it. I don't think anything else happens in this video, but... And then you guys remember some stuff that I didn't show that I should have. You guys remember the other day I was telling you there's a video floating around of Trump being upset because the Russians didn't even show up to the meeting that they were having, right? The peace talks. That is this video. It says Trump completely loses it when a reporter dared to ask if he was disappointed that Putin skipped the Ukraine peace talks. Trump spiraled, insisting he alone can end the war when he meets with Putin, then lied and claimed he never even heard of the delegation. The man is delusional. He seriously needs help. So there was supposed to be a delegation that met on the 15th. The Russians didn't even show up.
Are you disappointed in the level of the delegation that the Russians sent to Turkey?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not disappointed in anything. Who are you from?
BBC News.
I'm not disappointed. What would I be disappointed? We just took in $4 trillion, and he says, are you disappointed about a delegation? I know nothing.
So again, right, just misdirect, right? We took in $4 trillion. What about the peace? Well, the war you said you were going to end in one day, remember?
Nothing about a delegation. I haven't even checked. Look, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I
do have the video that Dr. J is talking about. It's the video we're supposed to watch about the paraplegic man, right?
together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there. And
I don't think that's really relevant, right? I think it was planning on docking there where we're taking the video from, and that tugs were supposed to pull it into place. As far as it going backwards, I mean, they go both ways when they have tugboats with them.
I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying. Thank you. You're going to land right now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And by the way, this is from RSBN. That's his go-to, right? That's his ass kissers direct. Nothing. I don't know anything about a delegation. Really? You don't know anything about the peace talks that you've been talking about and praising and saying they were going to end the war? All right, guys, before we get started, if you want to support the show, do that at coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund, where you can find all my social media links. Make sure you're following me on these other platforms: Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, and Discord. And there's also ways that you can donate and support the show. We would greatly appreciate that. We're going through a tough spot right now, but we'll be back on top soon. Thank you, guys. Before I actually sent an email today. Has anybody talked to, there is a guy in our community called Border Collies. Like, Border Collies are the best. He's in Discord. He's on, he's usually in chat. Has anybody talked to him in a while? I just haven't, I could be wrong, but I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. It's been at least 2 weeks. I know I brought it up a week ago or something. So the last time he posted in Discord, just let's say the first. I mean, if he can't watch and he's busy or nothing, I don't want to bother him. But I just want to make sure that, nothing happened, right? Or he didn't just like fucking get deported to El Salvador. It tugs both ways. That's right. It always does. If you happen to see Border Collies, just let me know if you see him. It's been over 2 weeks. If I know I asked about it last week too, but the last time he posted in Discord was on the 1st, May the 1st, May Day. A couple other things we were looking for. This is the document we were looking for. This is from the Joint Committee on Taxation. They are a nonpartisan group that, when either side, the Republicans or the Democrats, propose different taxation levels, laws, legislation, when they put it out, the Joint Committee on Taxation comes out and says, this is what that would look like, right? You wrote the laws. This is what it would look like number-wise. What the percentages are, who's going to be paying, what they're going to be paying, the amounts they're going to pay, what that means for the deficit, what that means for income we're going to be generating, what that looks like for the IRS. That's what these guys do. They do not have a lean, okay? They don't lean right. They don't lean left. They're the numbers people. And that video that I showed you, where the guy claimed that the percentage for the lowest groups of people, less than 15,000 and 15 to 30,000, was going up wildly, is in this report. Now, it's hard to see. I'll zoom in some. But here we got income category, change in federal taxes under present law, federal taxes under proposal, and then the stuff that you can't see over here is present law and proposal, average tax rate. So we have the lowest income group. This would be for calendar year 2027. So the people that are making less than 15,000, their taxes the very first year are going up 18% in 2027. 15 to 30,000, they're dropping 21%. Okay? That'd be the change in federal taxes. That's what we're looking at, is this first column. Okay? Now, overall, that makes an 11% drop. Nobody's taxes is going up except for the people who make less than 15,000. In this whole chart, everybody else is negative on this first year, 2027, except for people who make less than 15,000. But it gets worse. If we go to the next year, 2029, less than 15,000. Their tax rate is going up 53.5%. From 15 to 30,000, you're going up 11%. Everybody else's taxes going down. 2031, less than $15,000. This would be a minimum wage person working 40 hours a week, is about $15,000, okay? Their taxes are going up 74.3%. 74.3%. 15 to 30,000, 20%. This is why the guy said, I thought it was a typo. Like, I thought that was a typo. You see the almost 75% increase in taxes? They can't explain it. The best explanation we got is like, oh, well, before their tax percentage was like negative, I guess. And we're taking away credits, and we're also raising the tax rate. So that's why it looks like such a large number. But that's not a good answer either, right? Even if you are taking away credits, their actual tax rate is going up 74%. Let's say half of that's credits. So the tax rate's going up 37%. It doesn't seem to make any sense. Their current tax rate is 0.1%. 0.1%. 0.1%. That's going to go up 75%. And then in 2033, it comes down some, 74.2%. I guess I don't know that they can explain it either. No one's offered an explanation about this. You have retards in the chat that'll say, 75% of zero is zero. Nobody's tax rate is zero, okay? You might not pay taxes because your tax rate is low and you get credits that offset your taxes. Nobody's tax rate is zero. Your tax rate is not zero. There is nobody that is multiplying a tax rate by zero in the country, okay? Let's say your tax rate is like 1% and you end up getting thousands of dollars in credits. Well, your effective tax rate might be like negative 27%. Sure. Nobody's tax rate is zero. I don't think they can explain it. I don't think anybody can explain it. The best explanation we got is like, hey, you're dealing with, credits, so their current effective tax rate is kind of negative. So once you take that negative and roll it back over the other side, it looks like a bigger raise than what it is. But again, even if we contribute half of that to fucking credits going away, that's still a lot. $74.3%, 74.2% the next year. On the lowest earners, the lowest threshold, less than $15,000. And the people who make $15,000 to $30,000. So $30,000 is a $15 an hour job, working 40 hours a week. And you're talking about 20% increase. Isn't it 20.6% increase? 11.7% increase? Other than paying money for the wealthy, I don't know what it's. Sorry, this piece of grass. I was weeding today. This piece of grass behind my ear. Other than the tax going up and paying for the millionaires to have a better tax breaks, I don't know. It seems kind of insane. We have what I think is a really sad video. You guys remember? The kid that was inducted to the Secret Service during the State of Union address? DJ, I think his name was. I have literally scoured the web, trying to look and see if Jasmine Crockett has ever said anything about that kid. I don't think she has. Like, I can't find her saying anything negative about the kid, mentioning the kid. I can't find anything about it. But the right wing, as their little token kid that nobody can attack, right? Remember how badly they treated Greta Thunberg? But anyways, it's their little, it's their minority kid that nobody can attack because he had brain surgery. So if you say anything negative, they shove him out in front and say, you're picking on this kid kind of deal, right? They have convinced him that Jasmine Crockett said something about his hair, made fun of his hair, because he has, I guess, scar tissue. So he said, I think his family said he had like 13 surgeries or something. So he's got like scar tissue and his hair doesn't grow back. I don't know who convinced this kid that happened, but I can't find it anywhere. Anywhere. But this is where we're at. So this little kid surrounded, he's now, because he's like their token example, he has now been made into an official ICE agent as well. So he's a Secret Service agent. Now he's official ICE agent as well. They're taking him on a press tour. He's surrounded by all these white guys. He's obviously black. He's surrounded by all these white guys. And listen to what he says while they cheer him on.
I've been through 13 brain surgeries. That's why my head looks like this. And let me say this. This one congresswoman was talking about my head. But I said she can't be talking because she looks like a burnt marshmallow. Jasmine Crockett.
What have they turned this kid into? And what's he going to think about this when he's an adult? That he's calling other black people burnt marshmallows. While a circle jerk of white guys in uniforms stand around and laugh.
I've been through 13 brain surgeries. That's why my head looks like this. And let me say this. This one congresswoman was talking about my head. But I said she can't be talking because she looks like a burnt marshmallow.
I can't find a single example of her saying anything about his head. Right? But wow. I know it's not his fault, right? It's probably his parents and the people he's around and the media influence trying to make him, right, the token person of the minute. But damn.
Jasmine Crockett. I've been through 13.
That is wild to see a child do that. All right, let's go to our where did we park last night, chat. I think we parked on a video of a paraplegic man being accused of kicking down a woman's door and fleeing on foot. And that is where we'll pick back up. Cops arrest paraplegic in wheelchair for kicking down woman's door and fleeing on foot.
You forcefully entered her home and attacked her. Is this a joke?
This woman called the cops and accused a guy of kicking down her door and assaulting her.
So what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out.
But there was a minor problem with her story. The suspect has been a paraplegic in a wheelchair for 20 plus years.
How long have you been in your wheelchair?
About 18.
Since you were 18?
5 years.
But the arresting officer just didn't care, and he attempted to arrest him anyways.
So I literally can't. I don't have muscle control. I'm not. Oh my God. Oh my God.
When another officer stepped in and questioned what was happening,
You're paralyzed. Somebody must have made a mistake. Because if the door was kicked in, he didn't kick it in.
he went to his lieutenant,
Don't mean to interrupt your lunch. They got a quadriplegic guy up there.
who couldn't be bothered to get up off of his chair, but quickly accused the 100% innocent man who was in fact a paraplegic of lying.
Yeah, but it's funny work. It's a ruse, man. So I mean, it's an obvious attempt to.
If you have Twitch Prime, you can get a free sub on, or if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub to the Twitch. Thank you.
Yeah. But
It's a ruse not to go to jail. And the cop says, well, he is fucked up from below the waist.
up from the waist below.
I've never seen a case where somebody was so clearly innocent, and it would take so little work to establish it, and nobody was willing to do the work.
Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel, where my mission is to help protect and defend your constitutional rights by showing you all of the outrageous things that your government regularly does to people just like you. So if you share in that mission too, please comment, like, and share this footage so that what you see in this video doesn't happen again to somebody else. In June of 2024, a woman named Catherine Jensen, who was apparently completely insane, called police and reported that this man, Charles Reed, whom she claimed was her ex-boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, and they had broken up a few days earlier.
Oh, thank God.
All right, how you doing?
Had come to her house, kicked down her door, choked her, and then attempted to steal her car keys.
So, what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out.
She also claimed that he fled on foot.
I guess he took off on foot.
In the body cam footage of that encounter, she apparently told the cops that she did not even want to press charges. Still, though, officers obtained an arrest warrant for Mr. Reed. This police officer named Mark Bigots began to communicate with Mr. Reed by email. He basically tricked him into coming to the police station to clear up a case of mistaken.
How fucked up, dude. How fucked up.
Identity. But what he really intended to do was to arrest Mr. Reed. When Mr. Reed arrived at the police station on March 20th of this year, Officer Mark Bigots, the same police officer who responded to the call where Miss Jensen made that report about Mr. Reed, began to read Miranda rights and began questioning Mr. Reed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reed. My name is Officer Bigots. You're the one I've been emailing recently?
Yeah, all right.
Doing well. Give me a second. I'm going to just read you something and then I'm going to ask you a couple questions, all right?
Great.
So you have the right to remain silent.
Yeah, the super liberal town in Georgia. You're right.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney.
He said, according to Miss Jensen, you forcefully entered her home and attacked her. Mr. Reed had no idea who she was or what he was talking about.
According to Miss Jensen, on this date, you forcefully entered her home and attacked her.
As the conversation went on, Mr. Reed insisted that he had nothing to do with this and that he had actually been paralyzed for like 25 years.
How long have you been in your wheelchair?
Since I was 18.
Since you were 18?
5 years.
That he was married. He was not any sort of recent ex-boyfriend to this person.
So,
not an ex-boyfriend, have nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah, that's...
and you say you have no recollection of who she is?
I have absolutely no idea who that is. Yeah. Certainly never forced my way into anybody's house.
Because she was able to provide us with your exact information and a description of how you look.
She describes that he's of average build.
Tall, short.
Average height.
That he has brown hair. That he's in black clothing.
Tall, black.
It's College Park, Georgia.
I want to say yes, sir.
But not that he's in a wheelchair. Never mentions it. And that is probably the number one thing you'd mention about somebody.
Especially as
average build, average male, super average, average hair, average eyes.
they're running away.
On foot.
I guess he took off on foot.
Charles and Catherine did date, but it was more than 20 years ago. They never kept in touch. He's been married for a decade with a newborn. And the day of the alleged attack,
They didn't investigate anything, guys. Anything.
Charles says he was at a dinner party with friends.
Did police contact you at all?
No, not at all. Not a single time.
But instead of looking into the situation further or acting on that information, Officer Bigots instead handcuffed and attempted to arrest Mr. Reed, which ended up with Mr. Reed falling out of his wheelchair and onto the ground.
I truly have no idea who that is.
I understand you say you haven't been here, but unfortunately, you do have the warrant out for your arrest. So I'm going to have to place you into custody, and I'm going to take you downstairs. You're going to be booked and entered, and you're going to have to go to jail. So, and you say you've been in this wheelchair since you were 18. If you have proof of all of this information, that can be verified. If you get those documents in order, you can bring those with you when you go to your first appearance.
Can I pee and stuff?
You'll be able to pee. I'm going to take you right downstairs. You're not even going anywhere.
I am. This is crazy to me.
Do me a favor. Put your hands out. Unfortunately, it is. Put your hands out.
I can't. Is this a joke?
Do me a favor. Put your hands up. Above your head, please.
I don't have muscle control.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not like.
Put on the other side.
I literally can't. I don't have muscle control. I'm not. Oh my God. Oh my God.
33 to radio, can I have a signal for my location for a white male who fell out of a wheelchair?
Eventually, a second officer who happens to see what's going on comes over and he helps Mr. Reed back up into his wheelchair.
Can somebody please help me off the ground? I'm paralyzed. Can I get out of my wheelchair?
Yeah, let's help him up. Oh, I was waiting for the...
Let's help him up.
From there, right next door, so...
That's what I'm saying.
So all it took was this woman just saying it. Drug him out of his chair. And they're like, put yourself back in it.
He immediately realizes that something is not right here, and he begins to ask questions.
What's the warrant for? I broke into somebody's house. How long ago? June 19th. June 19th, 15th, 9th. How long have you been paralyzed? 25 years. Make a phone call on this. Take his records from me. It's just showing that you have a warrant, and we're going to do our due diligence. Because if you're paralyzed, somebody must have made a mistake.
At least one cop is like, well, I don't know. I don't think this is right, guys.
Okay. Who's the original agency? We are. Who's the detective? You are. Okay. Give me a second. I get my doctor on the phone?
He takes the first officer aside.
He even says I can get my doctor on the phone. If you got proof of that, then maybe we can do something about it. But right now, you're going downstairs to jail.
And tries to get an explanation out of him.
I'm gonna let you go right now. He just walked the hell out of that wheelchair. I hope he took my fingers and he fell down and fell on me. But basically, on what day was this? I still remember the call. On June 15th last year, I got a call about a lady from 4111 Fredericksburg Drive. And so basically she was like, and when I got to the house, the front door was kicked in, and I think she was like hiding by the garage or something. And she comes out and she's bleeding from her arm. Her neck is bruised up and everything. She's like, my ex-boyfriend who we broke up 2 days ago just entered my home and attacked me. And then after that, I asked her, hey, you know.
And this woman hasn't seen him in 20 years. Average male, average beard, average guy. This is his name. Kicked down my door. By the way, they go to her door and knock on it. Her door is ready to go, right? There's no damage to her door. And then fled on foot. Ran away.
We lived together. Yeah, we used to live together at this address. Do you have any of his information? Gave me his name, spelled it out, gave me a description, told me what he looked like, ran it through NCIC, it matched, and then I was like,
by the way, she never mentioned he was in a wheelchair. Just name and description.
It's him. She was like, yes, that's him.
And the description was average.
Right there. Issue the warrant. So now he's saying, man, I ain't been here in like X amount of years.
Wife said he got shot at 19. He's been paralyzed since then. He's do some backdrop.
So I was like, man, I don't know if this is true or not, and I can't ascertain that right now.
So why don't you call the district attorney's office? Because if the door was kicked in, he didn't kick it in. He did kick it in.
Well, she didn't say kicked in. She said, well, I can't recall if it was kicked in or if that's what she said, because all I remember I wrote was that forced entry was made. So if it was kicked in and he has indeed been paralyzed since.
What do you think he did? Ram it?
He was 19 years old. That would be kind of hard.
Because I'm looking at his legs. I got a couple of relatives that are quadriplegics. That what we see with his lower extremities, that's the play.
Okay.
That's legit. And if he was born in 82.
Dude, it would be so easy. It would be so easy. You know how much atrophy there would be in his legs? He hasn't used them in 25 fucking years.
That means he was shot in 2001, and he's been paralyzed since 19 years. I would suggest calling the district attorney's office, let them know what you got. And even though
because now it's looking like she might have made a false report. So that's what I was looking like. I was like,
but you done threw him on the ground, dude. Like, all this should have been done. Like, I understand it's probably hard to get criminals to come in and turn themselves in. If you did something sneaky to get him down there, that's fine. When he shows up in a wheelchair, that's the time to start checking. Not handcuff him, drag him on the ground, and then say, maybe we need to back up now.
I don't know.
He's got a lawyer. There damn well better be a lawsuit.
Between now and June, that's what, 9 months? I was like, I don't know if something happened between those 9 months that might put him in a wheelchair.
He then walks with the first officer over to where their lazy lieutenant is sitting on his ass eating lunch on his messy, sloppy desk, and he tries to inform him of the situation. But the lieutenant already knows about the situation, and he doesn't care at all.
I don't mean to interrupt your lunch. I'm stepping in, helping out a little bit. They got a quadriplegic guy up there.
I just told him about it.
Oh, he already got the rundown?
Yeah,
but it's funny work.
Yeah, but how could he? And I just want to put it out there. He flopped out the wheelchair. I was like, can you raise your hands? I'm trying to, pat him down, make sure he doesn't have anything. I don't know if the camera's going to catch it, but I got him.
He did not say, can you raise your ass? I'm trying to pat him down. Hell no, he did.
Took my fingers, and he just
It's a ruse, man. So I mean, it's an obvious attempt to not to go to jail. So
Yeah, but he is fucked up from the waist below.
That is great. After actually seeing him, I agree. But then again, like I said, I don't know what happened between 9 months ago from now, and I don't know how much muscle mass you lose from not using your legs. So I don't know if,
That's what court says.
Yeah. Wife said he's been paralyzed for 19 years. So. Okay.
Well, just get ready to clear it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well,
So I'm gonna have a lawyers on standby because I know damn well he's gonna make a whole issue out of this.
He's gonna make an issue out of this. This crazy guy's gonna make an issue. Y'all threw him in the floor.
Like what's happened to me?
Right. So, if you need this information. So I just spoke to LT and Major. Unfortunately, I still have to take him. It's a felony warrant. Now, I don't know what's happening between you and this young lady, whatever you guys had. That's not...
Yeah, I understand that.
So if she made a false report...
And he's like trying to be the nicest guy in the world, right? Like you better get the lawyers. This guy, he's like, I understand it's not your fault, but I'm paralyzed.
It's going to be on her, obviously. Like I said, I explained, I noticed your condition, I see it, but I have to do my due diligence. It's a warrant out, I have to go ahead and take you in. So now that's going to be up to you and the courts and your lawyers. And her.
My question is, how do we go from someone reporting something and they know your name, right? Tons of people know my name. Let's say they report that I broke in and tried to kill them or something and ran away. And they can, if they know my name, they could probably, when they pull me up, they could probably see my picture and say, yeah, that's the guy, right? Because they see me on fucking Twitch or something. How do we go from that to like a full-blown felony arrest? There are no steps in between? Like there's no like calling me and saying, hey, did you break into somebody's house? Where were you on this day? It's straight to arrest.
Her and then to establish your innocence until proven guilty. So at this point, she says you kicked down her door. It don't look like you could kick anything, no offense, at this point in time. So that's why I told you earlier.
No offense.
That you were shot at 19, that you've been to Grady. That
I do. I can provide it in 10 minutes from now.
So, I need paper. If it ain't on paper, it don't happen.
I mean, I can even.
Who would have a piece of paper that said I was shot at 19? He's saying he can call his doctor.
Call the DMV and see that I've been mechanical aids on my license for the past 25 years. You can call, we can drive to Grady right now.
Give me 1 second. Let me actually.
What a lazy piece of shit the lieutenant is. He's supposed to be in that position to fix shit like this, right? To step in. To make sure these mistakes don't happen. He's just like fucking chowing down his lunch like, it's obviously a ruse.
Give me 1 second.
And I'm not even saying that someone probably hasn't tried this before, right? They've been accused of like fleeing the scene on foot. They know that's a big thing. And they're like, I'm in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. Even those people, we probably need to investigate. Like even if you doubt them, before we start dragging them into the floor.
Give me 1 second. Let me go talk to my major real quick. I'm so sorry, last thing. He's saying that he can prove with paper documentation that he's been in a wheelchair for that long.
Okay, but you can still punch somebody in the wheelchair, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that he didn't do what was accused of, right? So, he could have forced entry if he had a tool, or who knows? I don't think just because you're in a wheelchair does anything.
Can't break a door down.
Right.
Yes. But is there any investigation at all? She clearly looked like a crackhead. We'll go back and watch her part in a minute.
Fortunately, I'm going to have to take you today, sir.
Can I talk to whoever that guy was?
There's really nothing he can do, and he's the one that's telling me because you still have an active warrant, and that warrant isn't going anywhere. I've even went so far as to reach out to the district attorney and see if there's something that I could do, but they're not answering. So unfortunately, I have to take you in.
Tell me that I can provide documentation.
That's not a right here, right now matter. That's going to be a later on matter.
Can I talk to
and
the
even
judge?
so,
Can somebody get the judge?
I'm trying to show you. And even so, you're in a wheelchair that doesn't.
I want to talk to the judge or something. Can I speak to a magistrate or something? I want to get this resolved. Somebody that can.
I'm not understanding because you're saying that you had no muscle control, but yet you wheeled yourself from across the street and somehow got into.
I don't have muscle control after the thoracic 3 vertebrae, right? So I have hand control. I have hands.
You're doing exactly.
Obviously.
What I just asked you to do before when you fell on the floor.
Get them balanced, right? When I have 2 hands here together, I always have to hold myself.
So that's one, and two.
What do you mean that's one?
And two, you're saying you can't sit down, but you have to sit in the car.
Specialized cushion. Do you see this cushion that I'm on right here? it's a specialized air cushion with like specialized compartments. I would
Look at the way he's moving his legs. He's clearly paralyzed.
bed sore if I sit on anything other than this.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't a bed sore when you sit or lay somewhere for like a very extended period of time?
It is.
It's not going to be an extended period of time. I'm pretty sure the jail has things that can accommodate you, and you will go with your chair. I'm not saying that I'm going to take you. Your chair's going to stay here. Your cushion's going to stay here, and you're just going to be asked out in the backseat of a car, and then in a hospital, and then whatever the case may be.
But you're not explaining that to me as you're saying those statements, though, right? So I'm justified in not knowing that.
Oh, my apologies. I thought that was kind of implied that where you go, your chair would go with you.
That's not implied to me at all. I haven't been in a police department my entire life. I can do any single thing about this life, right?
And you drug him out of his chair originally.
My apologies. I'm letting you know right now, your chair will go with you.
Yeah, I'd still love to speak with somebody like of a higher tier. Like I simply cannot accept that like this is the remuneration for this after I've been in contact with you for like a month and a half.
You've been in contact with me for like a couple weeks.
Months are made of weeks, I guess, you know.
Mr. Reed is not a criminal. He's never been in this situation before. He just can't believe that law enforcement, the criminal justice...
I would assume that I can't take my chair with me because the first thing you did was throw me out of my chair. Like...
system could be this wrong, could be this incompetent. But boy, was he wrong. He wanted to speak to a judge. They don't give him access to a judge, but they give him a supervisor. So here comes the supervisor. And as you can see, he's a lot of help.
That's my sergeant. He'll be able to speak with you. Can you call these messages? I figure out what's going on. Long story short, he has a warrant for ag assault out of here, 411 Fredericksburg Drive, and he needs to be transported. And he's saying that he has obviously a medical condition and that he can't be transported.
I'm really saying that I'd like to speak to a judge or somebody who can adjudicate some aspect of this other than simply taking me to the hospital. Like this is like this is. You better answer the phone.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
So really, I would just love some information. Do it right now. Do this. We know when you go to court. I don't know anything about this, honestly. Like, this is a complete total surprise to me. I literally have been in communication with this gentleman for a month, trying to figure out why in the world I have a warrant. I think I was tricked into coming here today. Tricked into coming? Yeah, because he told me I could just come and sign some piece of paper because he didn't have any knowledge about what the warrant was. I have an email that I could show you. Did you recently put in your chair? 25 years ago. 25 years ago. I shot when I was 18. Okay. All right. Have we looked up this case number? You said I kicked in the door?
I didn't say kicked in. I said forced entry was made.
No, you said kicked in multiple times.
So what happened?
He kicked in the door. I
This is the crackhead that snitched him out.
ran. He choked me out.
Kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out.
You never talked to me. You don't remember anything about me. And that I could come down to sign a piece of paper to handle it all.
Then finally, this lady shows up. I'm guessing she's some sort of a transport officer. Best I can tell, she arranges for him to come back in and turn himself back in, buying him a little more time, perhaps to go hire his lawyer or whatever he ended up doing to avoid actually going to jail.
He came in to settle the matter with the whole warrant. Right. So, no, that's fine.
You came to turn yourself in?
He came to talk to me about the warrant. So I asked him some questions.
He said he had no recollection of me or anything. He said that I could clear it up. I could sign a sheet of paper and clear it up. And so I just simply came in because, of course, it's mistaken identity. And so now I've been thrown on the ground.
Thankfully, he ended up not actually being arrested on that warrant. The warrant was eventually dismissed, but only after the story literally ran in.
Thank God.
The Atlanta TV news market. The crazy lady eventually publicly admits that she's absolutely nuts and she had no contact with this guy. And it's also revealed that the cops had to even check this woman's arrest record, should have known that anyways, because she had already been arrested for similar allegations before this event even occurred.
So the woman has already been arrested for claiming that other people have done this to her before with no proof whatsoever. She's obviously got some type of mental issues and probably a drug problem.
This is a story of this one particular officer, Bigots, being amazingly incompetent. But worse than that, once he realizes that he has charged a clearly innocent person, he doubles down to cover
and tries to backtrack. I never said kicked in. I'm beginning when he's talking to that whoever he's talking to, he agrees with them. So when he was talking to that first black cop that we saw, he was like, oh, yeah, clearly he didn't do this. Obviously, he's been there. Look at his legs. You know, he obviously didn't make forced entry. Then when he's talking to his lieutenant, he's like, yeah, he probably is faking. You can still punch somebody when you're in a wheelchair. Like, whoever he's talking to, he agrees with them.
Cover his own ass. And who helped him do that? His lieutenant helped him do that. His supervisor, his direct supervisor, his sergeant, just could have cared less either way. Fortunately, that one officer who was just a bystander stepped in and tried to do the right thing, but his lieutenant did not help him.
The one officer, I think, is just like building security.
Ultimately, is there going to be a lawsuit here? I don't know. As I've explained in other videos, these sorts of cases are very difficult where you have a valid warrant that was signed by a judge. You can sue under circumstances where police officers provide incorrect or false information to a judge to be able to get that warrant. But at the same time, unlike the private...
And again, how did we get to the warrant stage? I'm assuming the first time they ever contacted this guy, he said, I didn't do that. What steps did we go through to get from she says he did, he says he didn't, warrants? Like what's in between he says, she says?
Market where you can sue
the guy seems like he was under the impression that it was like mistaken identity, wrong name or something. So he was coming down there to sign a piece of paper to clear his name up, which is the ruse to get him there, right? But something went on at some point, and it had to go in front of a judge, right?
by a judge. You can sue under circumstances where police officers provide incorrect, false information to a judge to be able to get that warrant. But at the same time, unlike the private market where you can sue an employer for negligence, government doesn't work that way. They're allowed to be negligent, they're allowed to be incompetent, and we can't sue them for that. Only when it rises to really, really egregious levels can anything be done about it. This probably is a closed case here. We can see that they did have actual knowledge at a certain point and basically arrested the guy anyways. Now, ultimately, he wasn't taken to jail, but handcuffs were put on him. He was taken to the ground. But more importantly, people just need to see this. So please share this footage.
So the reason the cop is like, well, he just flopped on the ground. He doesn't have any balance control from like his waist down, basically, right underneath like where his chest would be, the bottom of his pec. So as long as he's able to balance and get ahead of it, it's like balancing a broom, right? When you put the bottom of a broom in your hand and you have the head of the broom standing up, you can balance it. But once the head of the broom, which would be his upper body, gets so far outside the base, it doesn't matter how fast you move, you can't catch that again, right? So once his upper body gets so far outside his lower body, it doesn't matter what he does, he can't catch himself. He's just done.
These same incompetent police officers, well, worse than incompetent, these same police officers who knowingly violate an innocent person's civil rights.
And that's why he mentioned using the bathroom, and the cop's so goddamn dumb. Like, obviously, he has to have some type of device to use the bathroom. And the cop's so dumb, he's like, there's probably a bathroom at the jail. Yeah, there's a bathroom down there.
He arrested the guy anyways. Now, ultimately, he wasn't taken to jail, but handcuffs were put on him. He was taken to the ground. But more importantly, people just need to see this. So please share this footage. These same incompetent police officers.
He just flopped on the ground, they said.
Police officers who knowingly violate an innocent person's civil rights because they want to cover their own ass, or even in the case of the lieutenant, too lazy to even get up from his desk, to stop eating his pretzels and get up from his desk and see what the hell's going on. This sort of thing needs to be shared, and they need to be exposed. Again, the only thing that government fears is negative public exposure. Government itself is the bad apple. Remember that. So help me spread that fact by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at JohnBryanESQ. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.
Thank you very much to the Civil Rights Lawyer. That's his YouTube channel, The Civil Rights Lawyer, if you want to check him out. He does good videos. Oh, that's the video we just watched. Oh, it must be a short about it. Let's see.
You forcefully entered her home and attacked her. Is this a joke?
This woman called the cops.
Oh, thank God.
And
okay, yeah, he made a short about it, I guess.
Assaulting her.
So, what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran.
Sure. 18? Since you were 18? 5 years.
But the arresting officer just didn't care, and he attempted to arrest him anyways.
All right. Anyway, Civil Rights Lawyer, check him out on YouTube. All right, now I'm going to try to cover the fucking craziest story I've ever heard. Like, out of The Handmaid's Tale. Literally, a story out of The Handmaid's Tale. I don't know if you guys have seen, watched, read The Handmaid's Tale. But there is a scene in The Handmaid's Tale where a young black woman is injured. And she is kept alive because she's pregnant. Okay? So now we go to Georgia. In February, a pregnant woman in Georgia was rushed to the hospital after experiencing headaches. She had been to the doctor's office. They told her to take over-the-counter things, did no CT scan. She went back because the headaches weren't going away. She goes back, and a CT scan showed that she had blood clots, a rare brain issue where she had blood clots basically all over her brain. The 30-year-old nurse was soon declared brain dead. 3 months later, her mother says Smith is being kept alive with ventilators due to the strict state abortion law. Her family had no say in it whatsoever. Because she's pregnant, she is being kept alive no matter what her family says about it. It's torture for me. April Newkirk told the Atlanta TV station, I come here and I see my daughter breathing by the ventilator, but she's not there. The state's near total abortion ban, called the Life Act, went into effect in 2022 after the Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade, doing away with the constitutional right to an abortion. Under the Georgia law, abortions in the state are illegal after cardiac activity can be detected, the heartbeat law. So if there's a heartbeat, no abortions, usually around the 6th week of pregnancy. At the time of her hospitalization, Smith was only 9 weeks pregnant with her second child. Newkirk says her daughter is currently 21 weeks pregnant. The family says doctors at Emory University Hospital have said they are not illegally allowed to consider any options from the family. It should have been left up to the family, Newkirk said, adding, I'm not even saying that we would have chosen to terminate her pregnancy, but what I'm saying is we should have had a choice. A spokesperson for Emory Healthcare told NBC News that the healthcare system uses consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individualized treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's abortion laws and other applicable laws. Our top priorities continue to be the safety and well-being of the patients we serve. According to the local NBC affiliate, the plan is to keep Smith alive until the point that doctors think her baby can survive outside the womb, which will likely be 32 weeks. Around 32 weeks. Georgia's abortion law does include limited exceptions, such as in situations involving rape or incest, or to protect the mother's life. But because Smith is already brain dead, doctors do not have to take her health into account. Georgia State Senator Ed Seltzer, a Republican who sponsored the law, told the Associated Press the hospital was making the right decision. Quote, I think it's completely appropriate that the hospital do what they can to save the life of the child, he said. I think this is an unusual circumstance, but I think this highlights the value of innocent human life. I think the hospital is acting appropriately. He added that the family members have good choices in how they can move forward, such as adoption or keeping the child. The family is paying for all of this, healthcare-wise. But Smith's mother told WXIA that the doctors were concerned after discovering fluid on the baby's brain. She's pregnant with my grandson, but my grandson may be blind, may not be able to walk. We don't know if he'll live once she delivers, Newkirk said. Along with emotional toll, Smith's relatives are dealing with the financial burden of keeping their daughter on life support. And you know who's not paying for it because she's already brain dead? The insurance company. She has insurance. Her insurance is like, she's already dead. What the fuck do you want us to do? They are burdened with the financial burden of keeping their daughter on life support, with weeks to go until possible viability of the baby. The bills would continue to add up. Every day that goes by, it's more cost, more trauma, and more questions. The mom said. How fucking insane. How sane.
Tonight, a Metro Atlanta mother lies brain dead in a hospital room, being kept alive only because she's pregnant.
So her case is now raising a lot of new questions about Georgia's controversial heartbeat law. Adriana Smith's family says they've been forced to wait without a voice while doctors try to keep her body functioning long enough.
That was a picture right there from her first pregnancy, because she was only 9 weeks pregnant when she died.
To deliver her baby.
11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside of Emory Midtown, where Adriana was just moved hours ago. Cody, what have you learned about what's going on here?
I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't, but the family should have some say in this, right? What about people who have like an extremely strict DNR, right? They don't want to be hooked up to any fucking machines. My dad didn't want a machine keeping him alive. For you know, like a slim chance. It's one thing to like have surgery and come out in recovery. It's another thing to be put on a machine and they're like, well, you know, there's probably not a real good chance, but we can keep them around a little bit longer. How insane. Georgia's also the place where they decapitated that baby. You guys remember that? And then they tried to hide it from the family and the coroner.
Is live outside of Emory Midtown, where Adriana was just moved hours ago. Cody, what have you learned about what's going on here?
Well, Jennifer and Ron, Adriana has been on a ventilator for the past 90 days. Now, as you mentioned, she was
already been 3 months.
Was moved here just hours ago so doctors can deliver her baby when it is time. Her family visits her every day, including her young son, who believes his mom is just sleeping. A crushing emotional toll, as you can imagine. The family says it's been made worse because they have no say on what happens next. 30-year-old Adriana Smith was about 9 weeks pregnant when she started having bad headaches in February.
Enough to know that something was wrong.
April Newkirk says her daughter went to Northside Hospital for help.
They gave her some medication, but they didn't do any tests. Didn't do any CT scans. If they did, they would have caught it.
The next morning, Adriana's boyfriend noticed something was terribly wrong.
She was gasping for air in her sleep garden.
And she worked at the hospital.
More than likely it was blood. She was taken to Emory, Decatur, and then she was transferred here.
To Emory University Hospital, where Adriana worked as an RN. Unfortunately, there was nothing doctors could do.
They did a CT scan. She had blood clots all in her head. So they had asked me if they could do a procedure to relieve them, and I said yes. But then they called me back, and they said that they couldn't do it.
Doctors declared Adriana brain dead.
I feel as if somebody dropped the ball at the hospitals, and her boyfriend asked, please keep her. If she was kept at the hospital, we wouldn't be here.
Because of Georgia's heartbeat bill, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected, her family says they weren't given any say in what happens next.
It's torture for me. I come here, and I see my daughter breathing on a ventilator, but she's not there, and I'm touching her. And she has a son who I bring to see her.
Now, 21 weeks pregnant, her baby's health uncertain.
She's pregnant with my grandson, but my grandson may be blind, may not be able to walk.
They did an ultrasound and found fluid on the baby's brain, which is usually a time to like make a decision, right? If you don't live in a state like this, because the quality of life can be drastically different.
Wheelchair bound. We don't know if he'll live once she has him.
A situation she says no one should be forced into.
So the one with the decapitation, we still don't know how it happened. But basically they were delivering the baby, they were told everything was fine, then they were told the baby must have suffocated or been born stillbirth. They wouldn't let the family hold the baby. Instead, they had it in a room behind glass, and they literally ripped the baby's head off somehow. And they wouldn't let the family hold the baby, so they propped the baby up and wrapped it up in blankets and put the head back on there and said that it was a regulation in the hospital. They couldn't touch the baby. They could only see it through the glass. Then it gets to the coroner's office. They don't report it as like malpractice or nothing. They report it as like a stillbirth, and the coroner's like, what the fuck? So he starts reporting it up like, did somebody kill this baby? And it was just a whole crazy story.
It should have been left up to the family because I'm in my 50s, her dad is in his 50s, so we're going to have the responsibility with her partner to raise her sons, you know? And I'm not saying that we would have chose to terminate her pregnancy. What I'm saying is we should have had a choice. We should have had a choice.
It's likely doctors will not induce Adriana for at least another month. And it's not just the baby's health the family is worried about, also a medical bill. They say that continues to grow every day.
All right, Cody, thank you so much. We know you'll continue to follow this story for us. And right now, under Georgia law, once a fetal heartbeat is detected, abortion is illegal, even in cases like Adriana's. In most states, decisions would defer to the mother or the next of kin, especially if the baby is unlikely to survive. But because Adriana is brain dead and no longer technically at risk herself, the law requires doctors to keep her alive until the baby can survive on its own.
If she was at risk of dying, then they could make the choice under Georgia law. But because she's already dead, she doesn't get a choice. Her family doesn't get a choice. Nobody gets a choice. They'll probably do a C-section at 32 weeks. That was from 13 years ago. Here it is.
To tell you,
This is from last year, the decapitated baby.
Breaking, but it is graphic and could be inappropriate for children.
A young Clayton County mother and father have sued their OBGYN in Southern Regional Hospital after they claim the doctor's negligence led to their baby being decapitated during childbirth.
In the wrongful death lawsuit filed in Clayton County this morning, the couple claims the hospital covered up their baby's death. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us from Southern Regional Hospital in Riverdale, where that death happened.
Good evening. What a sad and horrendous story. I have learned today that the Clayton County Police Department is investigating this baby death. And as for the parents, well, they're just too distraught to talk about it.
This is one of the most sad, egregious, and horrific situations that I've ever seen.
20-year-old Jessica Ross and her boyfriend, Travion Taylor Sr., have an unimaginable story. Their attorney says the young couple was full of joy and anticipation for their first child. They came here to Southern Regional Medical Center for the delivery July 9th. According to the complaint, doctors had diagnosed Ms. Ross with diabetes a year earlier, making her a high-risk pregnancy, but she consistently went to appointments while she was expecting. The couple's attorney says after about 10 hours of labor, Jessica was fully dilated and ready for delivery of Travion Jr. But according to the complaint, they say his shoulders got stuck in the vaginal canal.
What wound up happening after that is just brutal. Dr. St. Julian came in and she, in the process of trying to deliver this baby, pulled on the baby's head and neck so hard and manipulated them so hard that the bones in the baby's skull, face, and neck were broken.
According to the complaint, that is when Dr. St. Julian called for an emergency C-section.
When the womb was open, the feet came out, the body came out, and there was no head.
The head was delivered vaginally. The rest of the baby was delivered by C-section.
The head was stuck in the vagina.
The couple's attorneys allege nurses and medical staff at the hospital lied to the couple about what happened, discouraged them from getting an autopsy, tried to encourage them to cremate the child, and failed to report the death to the medical examiner.
They also did not report the death to the authorities of Clayton County or the Clayton County medical examiner. This report was made by a funeral home, and after their funeral home waved the flag and alerted the authorities regarding this, it wasn't until then when Dr. St. Julian told the family what actually happened.
Now, we reached out to Dr. St. Julian, but she declined to comment. We did hear from the hospital, however. Their statement reads, while our heartfelt sympathies go out to the family, Southern Regional Medical Center denies the allegations in the complaint referencing the hospital. Since this matter is in litigation, we are refrained from providing any additional information. Dr. St. Julian is not an employee of the hospital. The hospital has taken the appropriate steps in response to this unfortunate situation.
That's an insane story. I don't know if there's been an update or not, though. I saw some that says 1 year ago, judge rules in favor of parents. Oh, this might be an update.
All new tonight at 4. In the last couple of hours, we learned that a Fulton County judge ruled in favor of 2 parents in the case of a private autopsy of a decapitated baby posted on social media. The judge issued what's known as a default.
Oh, this is where the autopsy got leaked.
Judgment against Atlanta autopsy doctor Jackson Gates and his business, Medical Diagnostic Choices. This came after they failed to respond to court deadlines in a civil lawsuit filed by the baby's parents, Jessica Ross and Travion Isaiah Taylor Sr. The parents allege the doctor intentionally inflicted emotional distress and invaded privacy after posting a video on social media of parts of the baby's autopsy. The judge said she will hold a bench trial to determine damages later.
Jesus, they can't catch a break. I want to see this video by Preston Stewart. I haven't watched it yet, but it says Trump is a major impediment to peace. Let's see what's going on.
President Trump is increasingly becoming the main obstacle to peace in Ukraine. Which is wild to say that. And I know this is one of those videos where I'm going to lose subscribers, no doubt. But we have to talk about this, right? Like, people will inevitably jump in the comment section and say, how dare you? You've changed. This is political. That's not what I come here for. Look, war and conflict is an inherently political adventure. They are interconnected whether you like it or not. Now, I think, and I try to keep it as nonpartisan as possible because I think that's best for everyone involved. But to completely exclude the political aspect of war and conflict is missing out on really the main understanding of what's actually happening. And we do talk politics when we look at other governments, right? We look at the politics of Ukraine. We look at the politics of Russia, the decisions being made by Putin, Zelensky, Starmer, Macron, and others around the world. We're going to do the same thing here. And the issue right now is President Trump is saying things that do not line up with reality on the ground. It's not me saying that. He's starting to get pushback and has for a while from people inside his own party. So we've got a great clip here of Ben Shapiro kind of laying that out, explaining, like, we can see this. Why does the president not see this or insist that he doesn't see this? In fact, in a recent interview with Bret Baier, he went so far as to explain that Russia probably could have taken Ukraine in 5 hours, which raises the question of, does he understand really the core dynamics?
He doesn't. Anybody still saying that doesn't understand it. They didn't show up to the peace talks
of this conflict because this is so detached from reality. Let's give that a listen.
Don't forget, this was supposed to end in 1 week. And if he didn't get stuck in the mud with his army tanks all over the place, they would have been in Kiev in about 5 hours.
I mean, I haven't even heard the most pro-Russian nationalist sources talk about taking Kiev in 5 hours. That was never on the table. So if the argument inevitably will turn to, well, he just uses hyperbole and he exaggerates things. Like, we're trying to end the largest conflict in Europe since World War II. And he talks in this clip about wanting to stop the killing of so many young men on both sides of the war. So why exaggerate? Why make things up? What purpose does that serve anyone at all? Honestly, it just raises the question of, does he still not really understand at all what is happening in this conflict? There's no rational explanation to make things up like that. But I do want to start today's video with a clip from Ben Shapiro, so a commentator on the right side of American politics here, who traditionally has been more pro-Ukraine than pro-Russian. Unfortunately, we do have a bit of a pro-Russian branch within a certain subset of the American political system right now. It's not as large as most people would make it out to be, but there is a segment there. Shapiro has definitely been more pro-Ukraine, but he kind of calls it as he sees it right here. And I think this is incredibly valuable to say, we all see what is happening. Why is the president pretending like something else entirely is going on? Here we go.
Zelensky, who earlier had wanted a truce, a 30-day ceasefire as a condition of the talks, responded immediately. So again, Zelensky is doing the stuff that Trump wants him to do. Let's be clear. Who is doing what Trump wants him to do when it comes to Putin and Zelensky? The answer is Vladimir Zelensky is doing the stuff Trump wants him to do. There's no other way to read this. Trump is calling for things and Zelensky is doing them. Trump wants a rare earths minerals deal. Zelensky says sure. President Trump wants a ceasefire, 30-day ceasefire. Zelensky says sure. President Trump wants a 30-day ceasefire out the window so they can negotiate. Zelensky says sure. And every step of the way, Putin is delaying. Because Putin is basically gambling that at a certain point, President Trump gets bored and walks away.
And that was the focus of yesterday's video, talking about the outcome and kind of the ridiculous demands that Russia laid on the table for ending the war. They essentially said the big one that's completely out of the question is they asked Ukraine to evacuate their military and civilians from about 30% of 4 territories in the east that Russia doesn't yet occupy. And the only way to really
that they don't even have troops in yet, right? They don't even have troops in these areas yet, and Russia's just like, that's what we want to end the war.
Interpret that, other than saying, my God, are they delusional, is that they have no real intention of a near-term peace deal at all. They're dragging their feet with the hopes that the United States and Europe grows tired of this conflict and just walks away entirely, at which point Russia will have quite a few advantages over Ukraine. And whether the war takes another year, 3 or 5, that's a better situation for Russia to segment the alliance. Now let's shift over to the response here, the answers from President Trump, because they just don't line up with the reality. And he's pushed, I think, in a good manner by Brett Baer here, a commentator from Fox News, again, a right-leaning outlet here in the United States, where he says, Putin isn't at the table. Isn't he the obstacle to peace right now? Like, we can see this.
And for some reason, Trump loves to make Zelensky like the bad guy. Right? I get it. They clash. It's costing the U.S. money to support them or whatever. But he's showing up, right? You don't have the cards. We have the cards. You'll be speaking Russia.
Putin is the problem, right? Well, maybe not, according to President Trump. Here we go.
Do you think your perception of it has changed? Is Putin now the obstacle to peace in your mind?
And we said this. We said this over and over and over and over and over again. He's not going to be able to do this because he's so close to fucking Putin, right? He thinks they're buddies.
Look, I had a real rough session with Zelensky because I didn't like what he said. And he was not making it easy. And I always said he doesn't have the cards. And he doesn't have the cards. And, I'm being honest, he doesn't have the cards. You're dealing with a massive army, and you're dealing with somebody that's brave that had great equipment.
So I think the term gaslight...
Somebody that's brave that had great equipment?
Maybe is overused, and I'm not even sure if I'm using it correctly here, but it feels like that, right? We're seeing all of these scenarios where Ukraine is saying, we would like to find some way to end this conflict. How about a ceasefire? No. How about a short-term ceasefire? No. How about a Black Sea ceasefire? Like, they're throwing options out left and right, and you can argue whether or not that they actually would have pursued those and all of it. I think they would have. But when you look at all of this and step back, you are getting offers to stop the war and to talk and to meet and to find middle ground from Ukraine. We're getting none of that from Russia. And it should be abundantly clear to anybody following this conflict. Now, for a long time, the opening of Trump's administration, there was some concern, like, well, we haven't been talking with Russia, so who knows? Maybe they've changed their stance. And look, I don't think that was really a viable consideration, but I have to appreciate the fact that they wanted to try something new. If we've effectively cut off all communications with Russia, how do we know that they're not open to some sort of ceasefire to bring about an end to this conflict? And they pursued that. But now here we are. We've had time and time and time again for Russia to stand up and say, yeah, we're with you, President Trump. We're ready to find some way to end the killing, to end the fighting. Let's negotiate an end to this conflict. They're not doing it. The idea that President Trump can still today look at this scenario and say, well, it's not Russia. Zelensky, I've got a real problem with that Zelensky guy. Again, it doesn't match reality on the ground, no matter how you're looking at it. Baer continues to push here, and he says, why is Putin not coming to the table?
If they would have agreed to the Istanbul deal, they would have just been invaded again. And then it would have been stripped of any right to even ask the international community for help.
At all. And I like this. He kind of drilled in on this question that, again, we're all seeing it play out. And the president seems to be, intentionally or not, portraying a different reality. So I like that Brett Baer pushed harder on this. It's important. If you're talking about an end to the conflict, it's important to kind of level set. Here we go.
On the substance, what do you think is going through Putin's mind? You said get to the table. You said stop bombing. He hasn't stopped bombing. He's not at the table. And what do you think is happening? Well, he is at the table, and he wanted this meeting. And I always felt there can't be a meeting without me because I don't think a deal is going to get through. There's a lot of hatred on both sides. I have a very good relationship with Putin. I think we'll make a deal. We have to get together, and I think we'll probably schedule it because I'm tired of having other people go and meet and everything else. And with that being said, I think Steve Witkoff has done an incredible job. But it's a very tough job, and it's a job that, because of position, that I think I'm the only one that's going to be able to do that one, and I think we'll do it fast too. I think Putin is tired of this whole thing. He's not looking good, and he wants to look good.
So this is, and we've got a long clip coming here in a second because I want to give as much context as possible to just show you how much the president is weaving and ducking and dodging and not answering some of these questions, not addressing what should be just kind of the common sense approaches. Like, regardless of the policy direction, whether
it did not include Article 5 protections. Article 5 protections are automatic and guaranteed. None of the protections were automatic or guaranteed. It had potential military assistance, Article 5, which obligates its members It's an obligation. This was, hey, if you guys get attacked, then we're going to talk about it. The guarantor states are going to talk about it. And potentially we could do this, or maybe we could do that. Maybe we'll do this, but there was no guarantee.
Think it's the right or the wrong direction, to just constantly evade is concerning. But the reason I wanted to play this here is it just, again, does not, the words don't match the actions. President Trump is saying whether this is accurate or not, whether he believes this or not, he's saying he's the only person that can achieve peace. He needs to get in the room with Zelensky and Putin. Okay? Why has
do it?
Again, we have President Zelensky just this week saying, I will meet with Putin now. I'm going to go to Turkey. Putin, come on down. Let's do this. You have one person in that group saying no and dodging every possible opportunity. It's Vladimir Putin. And if Trump has said that this is such a priority to bring about it into the conflict, and he talks in a moment about how the money is important, yes, but the lives, he wants to save the lives. If he truly cared about getting the lives saved and stopping the fighting, why are we still talking about the possibility maybe of sometime down the road the three parties could get together? Are you kidding me? This is the president of the most powerful, largest country in the entire world. Not the largest, but the most powerful country in the entire world. It is a direct line with President Putin, direct line with President Zelensky. You're telling me that now we're past the 100-day mark and we can't even begin to schedule the possibility of getting those three together in a room? Get out of here. Come on. It's just for lack of effort at this point, right? But I did want to play a longer clip here. This one ends up being about 2 minutes to provide a little more context, because I think it's important to see how much the president avoids answering direct questions on this subject. And I think this is a problem. When we see this from Putin, we call it out and we say, my God, the man is all over the place. Is he losing his mind? Is he crazy? When we see this from European leaders kind of dipping and ducking and dodging questions, we call it out because it's important, and we're going to do the same thing here. The president does everything in his power to not answer the question at hand and to blame everyone but himself. But for a 2-minute clip, let's go ahead and play it.
I haven't seen you get personal. On True Social, you said, Vladimir, stop. He hasn't stopped. And you had once said that maybe you need to look at other things like sanctions or banking, because maybe they need to be pressured in a different way. And I'll be doing that if
I don't want to see 5,000 people. Outside of the money, which is a big deal, but the money is the money. The money we can make up. I can make up the money on one trip like this, okay? I mean, think of it. This trip, I made 12 times the money that we're talking about. I made that money in a few days. I've always been good with money.
The money's about pressuring Putin, right? I mean,
no, but I've always been good with money. I make money. I made in 4 days, I made 12 times what we spent in Ukraine. So the money is the money. What bothered me, I hated to see the way it was, pissed away. I hated to see the checks were sent for $60 billion. Every time Zelensky, I think he's the greatest salesman in the world.
And he's outright lying. We don't send cash to these people, right? Very, very few times we get cash. And that cash is automatically earmarked for like, okay, well, you're buying these from that country, right? Or you're going to invest this and that, right? It's almost always equipment, relief, aid, all that shit.
Far better than me. Zelensky, he comes to Washington. He walks out with $100 million every time he came. $100 million. Now his abilities were shrinking.
But his followers are retarded. I don't know what else to say. His followers are retarded. So what they hear is like, oh, he's got this check. And then like BlackRock was building a fucking ski resort on the Ukraine-Poland border. And they're like, that's where the money went. Really? Him and his generals bought a bunch of yachts. Really?
Because the last time I only got $60 billion. But Congress is very upset about it. They're saying, where is all this money going? I'm focused on we sent checks. We don't know. We sent just checks. We sent just cash. Where is it? The Europeans...
That's an absolute lie.
Have been very badly hurt by this. They spent a lot of money also. They spent $100 billion. We spent $350. It shouldn't be that. It should have been the other way around. But
are you going to put the
they have not been treated. Wait, they have not been treated right by anybody. This is a war that they're spending a lot of money on. We've been treated worse than them because we had a very stupid person as a president. And if I can solve that problem, and it's a bad problem.
This is the same with basically any country. When we say we're sending $100 billion in aid, most of the time it's laid out. Like, there will be some cash. Don't get me wrong. There will be some cash. But 99.9% of that is like food and water and shelter and military equipment, whatever. We're not just sending American dollars there.
Because I will tell you, Putin, it was the apple of his eye. You never would have done it if I were president. Never, ever would have done it. 100%. I think you even, most people actually even...
This doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Democrats say that. It wouldn't have happened. But we inherited a mess, okay?
The apple of his eye. That's what I always say. He wanted a little bite of that forbidden apple.
I think it's going to get solved. But you know that Putin wanted the whole thing. He didn't want a piece. He didn't want a chunk. He wanted the whole thing. Somebody said, well, what do we get out of it in terms of, let's say, Ukraine?
Right.
You know what they get out of it? A large portion of the country.
I mean, credit to Brett Baer there, who tries to pull the president back a couple times, saying, like, stop, I'm talking about Putin. Why are you not adding leverage to Putin? That's the big question, right? And for a while, we heard that it was because we didn't want to take sides in this negotiation, so we can't, appear to leverage one side or the other or favor one side or the other. Let's be honest with each other. That's out the window and has.
By the way, when Trump first started talking about this, when they were trying to get him to, like, admit that Russia invaded Ukraine, he would be like, nah, there's no sense in labeling one of them the bad guy. That doesn't help peace talks. Then the first time he meets with Zelensky, he's like, that guy's an asshole, like immediately.
It's been for a long time. Like, do you remember the tariffs that the president?
Yes. A lot of it. So a lot of people don't know, but munitions is a lot of that, right? And munitions are expensive. Like Javelin missiles are super expensive. They also expire. And when they expire, we have one of two options. We send them to troops to train with, right? We send them to ranges if they have capable ranges and say, fire these things. Fire them now, right? They're going to expire. But we just don't have enough training to even get rid of them all that way. So typically, the contractors that build them, that store them for us, that keep them in warehouses for us until we go to war and they start shipping them out and do the logistics for it, we have to pay them. We pay the contractors that build it and store it for us. We pay them to blow it up because it's expired. Would a 6 months expired Javelin still work? Probably. But you cannot send that to the battlefield, right? Because God forbid it didn't work, and then we found out that, this contractor was sending expired munitions to whatever. So a lot of the shit that's on the verge of expiring, that's going to expire, that's comes out of rotation in the next year, gets sent to allies if they're in some type of combat, or gets sent to training, or we pay them to blow it up.
Laid out, and Russia was not on the tariff list at all because we don't want to add pressure and make it seem like we're favoring one side or the other. Ukraine did get a tariff. They got 10% tariff. Like, get out of here. What? Like, how are we going to say that we're trying?
So Ukraine got a tariff, but Russia didn't because we didn't want to make Russia feel bad.
When a blanket policy like that goes out and Russia's exempted and Ukraine isn't, it ends up not being that big of a deal, all things considered. But it just shows, like, let's move that aside and pretend that, at least be honest with each other, that this whole not layering pressure on Russia has nothing to do with not wanting to appear like we're taking sides. We are applying pressure to countless other countries around the world at all times to try to get a desired outcome. We have been applying pressure to Ukraine throughout this process, turning off weapons at times, turning off intel sharing. Like, So why? Why will we not pressure Putin in any way, shape, or form? I think Brett Baer does a good job of that. In fact,
if nothing else, I mean, even if we're sending them shit that makes military jobs, there's a price tag on it, or what, it still does American jobs, right? They rebuild that. We're not doing without because we sent it. That's a lot of Trump supporters believe that, like, oh well, what if we get in a war? They got all our stuff. We're replacing it faster than we could get rid of it.
Continues to put,
and it makes American jobs.
It's already there. Like, we have congressional leaders that have this thing drafted, ready to go. Just do it. Like, it is pulling teeth to try to figure out why on earth this president won't push Vladimir Putin to try.
I don't think it's pulling teeth. I think there's one side that already knows why he won't put any pressure on Putin.
Get some sort of peace deal, but here we go.
There's another side saying it's the art of the deal. He's playing 5D chess. You never guess what he's gonna do. Just sit back and watch. He's the master negotiator. The other side's like, oh no, right? Like, he's in deep with Putin. He loves this guy. They've done shady shit together. They've got dirt on each other, and our guy's a piece of shit.
Brett Baer again pushing even harder. The options are there. We've got a good option to layer on sanctions. Let's just do it. Here we go.
It's just, Senator Lindsey Graham has 73 co-sponsors on this bill to sanction Russian oil and anybody who buys Russian oil. He's making the pitch for the bill saying, why should China get the benefit of cheap oil from Russia as Putin continues the war? At some point, there has to be leverage on Putin. And I assume that you've talked about that.
And the deal with OPEC Plus. Russia is a member of OPEC Plus. So asking them to do 400,000 more barrels of oil a day benefits Russia as well. There was no stipulation in there that, like, hey, we don't want Russian oil. That was included.
Nobody uses leverage better than me. Look what I did to Iran. Look, so it's changing. It's not changing. I always have.
Look what I did to Iran. Look what I did to Ukraine. Look what I did to, Europe. Look at the tariffs I put on. Yeah, but you're not doing it to Russia. Even with the tariffs that you said every country is getting a tariff. We're like, oh no, we don't want to upset them, or we're in peace talks with Russia. We don't want to upset Russia. Then why Ukraine?
Said that I will use that if I have to. I'd rather not use that. By the way, that's a big deal. I just put it on Venezuela. It's secondary sanctions. Let's go.
Well, that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. I just threw it on Venezuela the other day just because. Somebody should corner him and say, I know what he'll say is, I don't like to reveal parts of my plan. What would Russia have to do for you to take a stance such as sanctions or or calling them out or threatening this or allowing Congress to put some type of, sanctions on them, what would they and he'd say, well, I don't want to reveal my plan. But still, you can't say that's a huge deal. That is a big deal. I just casually threw them on Venezuela the other day because they don't want to take immigrants back. You think that Venezuela not taking immigrants back is as big as what you say is going on in Russia and Ukraine?
And I just did it with Venezuela.
Yes, Trump yelled at Walmart and told them that they better eat the cost of the tariffs.
And you could do it with Iran, too.
I just did it with Iran. It's basically if you buy oil from Iran, you can't do business with the United States. And you see the ships just leaving that port. In Venezuela, it was amazing.
Why not do it with Russia?
You got to see. Well, I will. Honestly, I will. If we're not going to make a deal, we're going to see whether or not
we're not.
This is now we're talking Turkey, and we'll see what happens. That would be crushing for Russia because
this is Turkey time. This is Turkey time.
They're having a hard time now with the economy. Oil prices are low.
So what do we do with that? Right? I mean, some people will say, well, the president, that's how he talks. He weaves, right? Or he exaggerates. That's just the nature of who President Trump is. Cool. Then let's just look at actions, I guess. If we can't go off of words and the words don't actually mean anything, which is a problem when trying to understand geopolitics and war and conflict, if you can't take somebody's word as what they actually mean, that's an issue. But if we shift over to actions, there haven't been any. Right? There's a couple key ones just brought up in this segment here. The layering of sanctions or added pressure on Russia, it's not there at all. And when it's even brought up, you see the president shift over to talking about the problems with Ukraine. So, all right, that action is clearly off the table, not happening, maybe won't happen in the future. And the other piece here, whether he believes it or not, President Trump continually talks about how he has to be the one in the room. The war will not end unless he's there. He has to be the one to bring this thing to a close because there's so much bad blood on the two sides, he said. It's been over 100 days. You're telling me that the president of the United States can't get the leader of Ukraine and the leader of Russia together, even for like a group call, a telecom?
Walmart has a pack called Walmart Inc. PAC for Responsible Government. It's kind of hard to tell. Like they donate to both, right? I think there was it was 60 to 40% or something the last time I looked it up. It's kind of hard to tell how much exactly they donated to Trump in each election cycle, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Conference, not even once, let alone, what if he just told them both we're going to be in Turkey? That you're telling me that Putin would blow him off? Maybe. That's maybe a bigger issue. Zelensky would be there from everything we've seen. Every step of the way, it has seemed like the president has been dragging his feet, saying simultaneously, this peace process is on us. We're going to be the ones to end it. I will end it. And then not taking any action to actually back that up. So if you're Ukraine in this...
I do know that the Waltons themselves have donated to a bunch of people who most people would call, and a bunch of causes most people would say were election deniers, right? The 2020 election deniers. They've donated to a bunch of those causes. So that can kind of tell you where they stand.
And since we're the European Union...
They donate a lot of times to causes and other PACs. And to causes. So instead of candidates as much. But yeah, a lot of it's directed towards Trump-leaning people.
Country in Europe looking at this.
And causes.
Following the U.S. lead, the only clear takeaway is that we just don't care. And we're just dragging this out, whether it's intentionally dragging it out to serve some sort of objective or it's dragging it out because we're avoiding the problem and it's something harder than we maybe initially thought and don't want to get involved with trying to solve something that we can't. There's a bunch of different ways to interpret that, but I feel pretty confident at this point in saying one of the major impediments to a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, it is the United States. Specifically, it is President Trump. And look, again, I think you cannot avoid politics when talking about war and conflict. It has to be brought up. I think we can.
Thank you for the follow.
Partisan manner, something that I tried to do in this video, every video ever. Again, I'm sure that won't meet the standard for some folks, but I do think it's an important conversation to have. But that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
I think we can't keep letting him slip and say, well, no, why isn't he doing this? Oh, it's kind of crazy. It's something he's not doing it. There's a reason behind it. We don't need another reason. He needs to do something better, right? He's clearly villainizing one side and saying, oh, no, we can't say nothing bad about them or do anything here or put sanctions on them because we might piss off that side we're trying to negotiate with them. But you'll walk all over fucking Ukraine and be like, they're the assholes. This guy, he's a dictator. You guys remember he was calling Zelensky a dictator, right? I won't say shit to Putin. All right, here you go. This is Trump's tweet. Walmart should stop trying to blame the tariffs as a reason for rising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions and billions of dollars last year. Far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as I said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. Because Walmart is reporting, sorry, but prices are going to go up because of tariffs. Trump hears this and yells at them. They should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for rising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as I said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your valued customers. Almost as if he's threatening Walmart. This I'll be watching shit. I'll be watching. What do you think he's implying there? Or when he says it to law firms after he sanctions other law firms for representing causes he doesn't agree with. What do you think that means when he says, I'll be watching? I want to show you. I know I've told you guys about my hometown before. I want to show you some crazy shit, dude. We've even talked about this guy before. This guy's name's Randy Higgins. He believes he's out here doing the Lord's work, okay? He's a piece of shit, okay? And if he's so right with God, it's amazing that he's sitting in a fucking wheelchair, half blind, dying of his diabetes while he's doing the Lord's work. You think God would take up for you a little bit more. This guy makes some outrageous fucking posts. And one of them really pissed me off. It pissed me off because it hits close to home, like some of my family and shit, which I don't want to involve in this. But remember how I told you that my local town is like terrified of becoming Asheville because Asheville has homosexuals? Listen how bigoted this piece of shit is. We're going to scroll. We'll read some more of these posts, but there's one in particular I want to read. Asheville, North Carolina, where the men are men and the gerbils are nervous. Like, he's a real piece of shit. So let me go down to this one. First of all, let me tell you about this. So let's duplicate this page. And there's a group in my town called Rise Irwin. And it stands for Rejuvenate, Invest, Support, and Energize Irwin. Okay? And the reason this group was started is my town doesn't have a lot of jobs. The young people here call it the big town of letdown. Like, it's like factory jobs, and even the factories are closed. The railroad used to be here, but the railroad's closed. There's not a lot of jobs, and a lot of young people flee this area, right? A lot of young people flee this area. And on one hand, you have a group of people that are trying to make it like touristy and attractive. And on the other hand, people are like, fuck those tourist jobs. We don't want to be like Asheville. Let's get factory jobs back here that don't pay shit, that close up without notice, blah, blah, blah. Rise Irwin was started, and I believe, they've not told me this, but I believe because of that, right? Young people involved in the government, which is a good thing. Young people typically have more progressive ideas, but if you want young people to stay here, if you want people to build families here, if you want people to be part of this community, right, and not you guys just all fucking die one day and the town's a ghost town, then we should probably have young people involved. Not so much politics, but like involved with the town. So Rise Irwin, like they share a thing about a strawberry festival we got going on right now. It's happening on Saturday. The Touch a Tractor event, they help sponsor. So you can go out and kids can, you know how they have Touch a Truck or whatever, like you go touch a fire truck, touch a tractor for kids that might be interested in becoming farmers or something, right? Touch a Tractor. Second Saturday at Scott's Farms, May 10th. This is a local farm. They'll have food trucks, some market specials, and entertainment, bingo, and prizes. Right? They're just a normal group. The Ramp, there's a local thing called the Ramp Festival here. It just happened last Saturday. Ramps are in season right now. They're like a wild onion that grow here. They're really good with fried potatoes, but you can only get them a certain time of the year. They support that local downtown businesses. This also market volunteers want. This looks like the Irwin's Farmer Market. You know, rooted resilience and community celebration for long-term recovery. This is the long-term recovery group that I just went to a few days ago about the flood. Like long-term, like it's been well over 6 months. We're still trying to recover. Happy Earth Day. A festival fundraiser for Rise Irwin, Euclid County Helene recovery efforts. They did a lot during the flood. Here's a picture just like regrowing. It's time to get involved. Volunteers, community upcoming stuff with local downtown businesses, a local musician that's went on to be a country musician. If you haven't heard of this guy, his name is Isaac Harris. I went to high school with him. He's got a pretty good song called Whiskey Revival. It's country music if you like country music. EMA, emergency management, poster shared. I don't know if I can share this video because I don't know if he's got a label or not, but here's his music if you want to hear part of it. I was friends with him and his brothers. They were in a band when we were young, right? And he's making music. They're sharing that. Community events. The Help Irwin Hill grant was what they did. They raised almost $400,000 and distributed it to people and businesses that were struggling after the hurricane. And they went to businesses that couldn't get traditional help. So like if FEMA really couldn't help you and this couldn't help you and the state couldn't help you, they tried to help out the people that weren't addressed by those other scenarios, helped a bunch of people, helped in the flood, helped sharing things, actually delivered food and water. I mean, it's a good thing, especially around Helene. And even when Helene wasn't here, it's still a good thing. It brings a younger perspective to decisions about our town and what's going on, right? It's a good thing. Randy Higgins hates them, okay? Randy Higgins hates Rise Irwin. You'll see in a post in a second, he makes the wildest claims about this group that is literally just a couple women trying to help our town, right? Trying to get young people involved, trying to bring things to our town that young people might be interested in, and trying to help our town grow and succeed, okay? This was a picture of the check they donated, right? So, big news from Rise Irwin. They'd announced that $225,000 in grants have been awarded to 32 families. Like they're giving out money, they're helping. This guy hates them. Absolutely hates them. Listen to this post. Everything in this post is a fucking lie, but it also, he's going to call out about God and my church and blah, blah, blah. He's not a Christian, right? He's just using Christian beliefs to be a fucking piece of shit. Listen to this post. George Soros is funding groups that recruits liberals to relocate in small towns and publish liberalism. Tennessee is on his target list, and they are taking it one town at a time. Michael Baker, who is a young member, he owns a bar downtown, so he hates him because alcohol. He runs a bar, and he's a alderman, right? He's on the board of mayor and alderman, and he's young. He's younger than I am. He's Mariah's age. Anyways, he owns a real estate company too. Michael Baker owns a real estate company here and has bragged he is going to liberalize Irwin one house at a time. He is a big part of Irwin Rise, the group getting grants for people relocating here. Now, Michael Baker is not a member of Rise Irwin. He does work with them. They all do, right? But he's not a member of it. They are the people getting grants for people relocating here. Does it surprise anyone that we have grown adults that thinks they have magically turned into cats? Or pedophiles dispatching law enforcement? Listen to this next paragraph. None of that's true either. I have a source in the group that keeps me informed. Talking about like the Rise Irwin, Michael Baker group or whatever. I have a source in the group that keeps me informed. Their plans include a secret gay nightclub in town next month. I'm sorry, the next month's not part of it. I have a source in the group that keeps me informed. Their plans include a secret gay nightclub. I reached out to Michael Baker before this show started. And I said, look, I'm not trying to bother you. I know this man's a fucking lunatic. But could you confirm or deny that you, in any way, are planning to bring a secret gay nightclub to the town of Irwin? I don't know if he's just lying and making this up or if he has someone on the inside that's just trolling him. Right? We have 13,000 people live here. How many gay people do you think are here, Randy? The town of Irwin has 6,000 people. The town, the city, has 6,000 people. The entire county has 17,000 people. We couldn't have a straight nightclub here. Now, I want to tell you something because you're going to need it for this next paragraph. Our town has a very, very dark past with race, okay? Like lynchings, like tar and featherings, dragging people behind train engines, running people out. When I was young, there was a sign that said, "Don't let the sun set on your black ass, ninja," that was like spray painted on a billboard, like a very, very, very horrible past. And one of the sayings that were associated with that were that black people would be run out on the rail, okay? That is a very old saying that was used against black people that lived in this area that worked for the railroad. They would be run out on the rail, like run them out of town, down the railroad tracks, and they'll never come back. Run out on the rail. He uses that phrase in just a second, okay? Run out on the rail. So back to what he says. I have a source in the group that keeps me informed. Their plans include a gay nightclub in town. Next month is what Obama declared Gay Pride Month. Erwin Rise deceived folks in town, convincing them to wrap rainbow yarn around light poles, saying it was to celebrate Dr. Seuss. So we have a program in town that had nothing to do with Erwin Rise, but that they decorate our town in yarn. Right, this is a statue downtown. They decorate our town in yarn for Dr. Seuss's birthday. Right? So this is like an elephant statue. This is at like a this is like a light pole. Right? They have people knit this stuff up and decorate like our outdoor areas in yarn for like Dr. Seuss. Okay? Clearly no homosexual agenda. This is in front of the post office. They do light posts, they do trees, they do the elephant statue that's downtown, right? Like this is just yarn. Any color you want, it's just yarn. Okay, and it's in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday. Basically, they make like koozies, like yarn koozies or whatever you call them, doilies or whatever, for like everything downtown. Okay? Has nothing to do with gay pride or being gay or not. It's in Dr. Seuss. And the super, super, super conservative mayor named Coach Watt, right? G-Dub. Greg Watt decided this. It was his idea. It has nothing to do with Rise, okay? It was presented to him by, I think, the school teachers, because Dr. Seuss, and he said, yeah, that sounds awesome. And it looks awesome. It's cool, right? Everything's got like a yarn jacket on it. Anyways, so back to his post. He says, convincing them to wrap rainbow yarn around light poles, saying it was to celebrate Dr. Seuss, then laughed how they got a conservative town to celebrate gay pride. So he claims that this is all a ruse to celebrate gay pride, and they're secretly laughing about it. Listen to this. One of the spokesmen for Rise is a man that is married to a man. Who gives a fuck? That's not true, first of all. There is no spokesperson from Rise that's even a man. But who cares if it's a gay person? People can hate me if they want. I will never support liberalism in any way. It goes against God, and people like Michael Bayer are sick-minded. They need to be run out on a rail. So a term, historically, that was used to drive black people out of our town, he's now saying that about homosexuals or people that may support that or that he believes supports that. They need to be run out on the rail. The next presidential election, Kamala Harris will have Michael Baker as her running mate. She said when she takes over, for the first time in history, the country would be run by 2 females. So he's calling the guy he doesn't like a female, right? The Michael Baker guy he's obsessed with. How the fuck can this guy claim to represent anything for Christianity? By the way, I can't prove it, but the only person he's talking about, so see this image? This image right here is the Rise Irwin group. 2 of these women are like the only people that are part of Rise Irwin. The other people are people that like helped out or whatever and posed for this image. The only male in this image is my nephew. Who happens to be gay. That's the only male in this image. Is my nephew. Who happens to be gay. Who's done more for this town, even though he probably should have left it years ago. He's done more for this town than Randy ever will. And then Randy says, the spokesman for the Rise is a man that is married to a man. I really thought about driving to Randy's house and beating the fuck out of him. But he's blind and crippled. That almost didn't stop me. He's a hateful fucking piece of shit. And if I have to spend the rest of my life ruining his, I will be there. I'm locked in. I'm in there for it. He can't live that much longer. Literally, even God fucking hates him. He's on his fucking deathbed. If you see the way he talks, that's because God made him blind. He's legally fucking blind. If you want to go tell Randy how you feel about it, here's the link to his Facebook profile. Randy Higgins. We'll read some more of his comments. I own everything I post and I can back up what I put on here. There was some comments from a fake profile that was posted on a pic of the pedophile working at 911. I do understand why they would suspect me because I decrate a few whenever I would get put in Facebook jail. And what I did post was true, no way was a background check performed unless they ignored the results. Agency that arrested him is going to contact me as soon as they make a decision on how to approach this. I worked 11 years for the sheriff's office here and everything was primitive back then. this 911 director would have been gone as soon as she hired someone like this back then, which leads me to suspect is involved. Half the shit he posts doesn't even make any sense. Like, I don't even know what half the shit he's posting is. But all of it's fucking hateful. Every time I ever see a post from him, I'm like, what the fuck? If someone identifies as a cat, we should respect that and have animal control tranquilize them and store to the shelter until someone adopts them. Then the new owner should have them spayed or neutered. They should not be allowed in our schools and should have to be vaccinated for rabies. And the parents should have to keep them on a leash when out in public. People are so twisted by Satan, they don't care how stupid they are, and they are proud of it. Laugh out loud. I know the things I have posted lately might lead some to think I have gone off the deep end. I have always been opinionated, and I will use the resources I have available to get the word out. Could care less about public opinion. We have a grown man dispatching for 911 that back in 2021 was left to care for a 6-year-old he put in a porn movie and forced his child to watch. I don't even know what he's talking about. And forced his child to watch HUIMDO, do the deed. When it came out on him, he turns suicidal shortly after. He had another woman lying with him and her children and was taken into custody at gunpoint by Johnson City police. He was booked into Washington County Detention Center for domestic assault. New 911 director was made aware of all this before she hired this predatory Sheriff Hensley, who had to remove him from his job as an SRO officer. When the incident with the 6-year-old came to light, director said she did a background check and he came back clear. Just his being arrested for domestic assault should have disqualified him from being a police dispatcher, and it would have shown up on a background check. If one had been done, I alerted JCPD, and they are looking into why he didn't get charged for the incident with the 6-year-old. Hopefully the TBI will find out. I don't care what anyone thinks of me for making this public. This perv needs to be behind bars, not behind a desk dispatching police calls, and our 911 directors need to be shown the door. I don't even know who he's talking about. Fear, focus on how big the problem is. Faith, focus on how big God is. Would be good to track the coats, bring children to the pedophiles here, then take the children back after taking care of the pedophiles and kidnapper on the spot. Gay Pride Month is right around the corner. Gerbils everywhere having nervous breakdowns. Deranged Trump syndrome is real. Mimic Tourette's syndrome, the best way to help someone having an episode. Hand them a pacifier, slapping them into reality. Had a good day. What made it good? Nothing bad happened to me. No falls, no near falls. Just being alive is good. Thing right now, I have been preoccupied with the pedophile working at 911, and I'm not going to give up until the right thing is done. If this guy were to ask God to forgive, I would have to forgive him, and God would forgive him just like he forgave me of my sins. There are standards all have to meet work in all aspects of law enforcement. With his threats of suicide, he is too unstable to have access to the info he can access by working there. I had to attend a week-long class back in the 80s at TBI headquarters to certify to access their system when I worked for the sheriff's office here. In the Bible, the story about the prodigal son, when he realized he messed and went home to his father, he told him he wanted to be one of his hired servants. His father was so happy at the return, he killed a fatted calf, put a ring on his hand, and clothed him with the finest clothes. The son was sincere in admitting his faults and failure. The father didn't make him earn his way back. It was as if he never left. See the example of Jesus, the Father. One of us will make it to heaven by anything we do here. It will only be by the grace of God because we accepted Jesus and believed him in our hearts. This guy's a fucking lunatic, dude. A lunatic who hides behind God to say these horrible fucking things. I'm trying to figure out who this 911 dispatcher is they're harassing. I cannot wrap my mind around how anyone would support the Democratic Party. Trump haters go on and on about the people storming the White House on January 6th because it's all they have, but storm an ICE office and they go silent. One thing Obama got going in his 2 terms is hatred for our country. He empowered the socialists here to act out. Our universities encourage anarchy. If you can't the hatred from Obama and the Democratic Party, you are blind. The Democrat Party could really care less about homosexuals and people that identify as animals, but they pretend to support all of them because it tears away at our moral fabric. We have immigration laws that people from other countries have to abide by and immigrated here for years. Now the Democrats are fighting to keep MS-13 gang members here. They could care less about the people they kill or the children they exploit. Stick with why president on this. Sometimes I had prayed and didn't get the answer I wanted, and sometimes didn't get answer at all. What I later learned, God didn't deny me and what I was praying for. He was protecting me, and sometimes he delayed my prayer for something better than what I prayed for. He knows better than we do ourselves what we need. How can you bounce back and forth? How from God, we hate these people. Don't ever let these people around here. Don't ever do it. And then back to God. God loves us all, and God, what the fuck? The latest 911 dispatcher they hired was a guy named Andrew. I'm trying to find if somebody else is spreading this crazy, horrible bullshit about 911 dispatchers. All right, back to him. I'm a staunch non-Democrat. I love God and my country, my family, and friends that keep us free. All Democrats fighting to keep the gang members here should have to bring as many as their home will sleep and live with them they are fighting to force us to live with. Asheville, North Carolina, where the men are men and the gerbils are nervous. I believe I will take the power chair for a spin. Thank God I have the ability to come and go and get out of the house. Again, God crippled him, right? What a day. Had today, took off in the power wheelchair and rode up Martins Creek, rode up the right fork, then up the left fork, and down on out to Irwin Healthcare and visit a few that helped with me when I was in there. It's not much different. How bad would it look if I beat the fuck out of somebody running around in a power wheelchair? Dude, I was so mad when I first read that. When I first read that post. Especially about my family. Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Not sure why some of my friends choose the biggest struggle of my life to turn their back on me. You don't know why people are turning their back on you? I wonder why. And say some of the things they have said, not going to go into details, but I've had to work harder to make sure I don't have hard feelings in my heart than I have trying to walk again. When someone intentionally says something that is uncalled for and tries to get into their business, into your business, walking away and cutting them out of your lives is way better than walking around angry and hurting people like this are being used by Satan and usually have ulterior motives for their actions, don't have the time or energy for stupid people. Really? You're worried about other people saying hateful shit. Is that what's going on? Not been on any adventures today. Still is a good day to still be here. I'm still improving a little each day. Every day Satan tries to take over mine, trying to convince me that God has forgotten me. He has. Me and God, you fucking piece of shit. Every time I struggle with something, he tries to make his case for that. I know God will never get me. He has brought me a long way. This is what my town is full of, by the way. I know Randy's probably the most vocal about it, but there's a bunch of people that believe the exact same way. Right? He's definitely not the only one. Trump has stated he will not recognize Gay Pride Month. It is his stand on moral issues that makes me proud of supporting him. Homosexuality affects a lot of families I know, and I have some in my family. Just because I do not support them doesn't mean I don't love them. Really? We've seen your post. Was talking with my neighbor and he brought up President Trump. This man does not profess to be a Christian and I never knew where he stood. Told me whenever someone tells him they are a Democrat that he automatically thinks they are evil. Then he went on about the evil stuff the Democrats are fighting. Trump overall. All one has to do is keep up with what is going on for just one day and reflect back on the 8 years Obama was president to conclude Democrats hate America. When politicians do things to help violent criminals stay here, I don't need any more proof. Thank God for a leader not afraid to stand up to those lunatics. If you have been keeping up with my posts, then you know I post a lot about me recovering from a stroke nearly 3 years ago and how God is blessing me in that effort. Appreciate everyone that prays for me. Prayer from people that know the Lord is better than money in the banks. Strokes, heart attacks, and disease entered our world when Adam and Eve sinned in the Garden of Eden. That's when all manner of sickness came upon us. Would never want to post anything giving Satan credit for anything. For every challenge I have faced, the Lord has been with me. I do get frustrated at times, especially trying to get dressed with only one working hand. God has brought me through so much already. Why would I let anything frustrate me? When first had the stroke, my body was like a wadded up piece of tinfoil. And not long afterwards, I was doing therapy. First, wasn't sure if I was going to live and spent a few days on life support. Because of God's mercy, I went from surviving a stroke to overcoming a stroke. I am sure God will get some good out of this. I fucking doubt it. Stormy and raining hard. Guess I better go make sure I rolled the windows up in my wheelchair. God opened my eyes this morning and I'm up piddling around. Can't ask for more than that. May take a ride in the power chair today, thanking Chestoa Bridge. Oh, please, God. End up in my backyard. WJHL, which is our local news, relies on the most ignorant people to interview for news here in Unicoi County. A friend told me someone from here said in an interview, our county raked in $18 million each year from hikers on the Appalachian. Did not see this interview, but it's not rocket science. If you combine the weed shop, the rafting company, bars, and all together, we don't get near that amount. A couple people got mad at me for calling Michael Baker out during the flood when hired the photographer to follow around when the governor was at my church giving a press conference. on flood relief, Baker stated in an interview that the rafting industry brought in millions each year, was opposing the railroad getting rocks out of the river bank. Baker is part of the Irwin Rise tree hugger group trying to liberalize us. I was banned on their page when I debated a guy in that group that had visited Asheville and going on about how gays bring in money, and he was happy to be part of turning our town into East Asheville. Michael Baker exaggerates things to say whatever he needs to say to appear intelligent and relevant, serves as alderman to protect his self-interest. He and Irwin Rise, by the way, aldermans are elected. He and Irwin Rise had their way. Our town would be nothing but gays and people that identify as cats. They would shut the railroad down and move the homeless druggie addicts from Asheville in. I don't know why WGayHL WGayHL instead of WJHL doesn't reach out to me for an interview. Later this week, President Trump's set to declare all of Buncombe County, North Carolina, as a starting point to the Virginia state line at Weber City. A gerbil sanctuary includes Unicoi, Washington, and Sullivan counties in Tennessee. There is a shortage of 2-inch PVC pipe, and that is why he is doing this. You see what type of piece of shit this guy is? Like, I don't... Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. But he loves his gay family members. He doesn't like the sin, but he loves his family members. The gays have affected his family too. I can't find anything about a 911 dispatcher that was a convicted pedophile. I don't know what the fuck he's going on about. I can't find anything about it at all. Even in like these weird gossiping, or I can't find anything about it at all, except for this guy. I guess we could go back to when he was talking about that a lot. Let's see if anybody commented on it. People like it, no comments, 2 comments. Just leave them at a Korean's house. Amen. That was about the cats. People pretending to be cats and being tranquilized. You're right. I wish you weren't. I would take what Trump did in his first term and stack it up against everything Obama did in 2 terms, and you can include Clinton and combine it all, and Trump would win. Obama awarded Bruce Jenner a medal for bravery for having a sex change. If Obama is your hero, then that means you are as sick in the head as Bruce Jenner. I bet the White House won't be lit up in rainbow for gay pride while Trump is in there. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Power wheelchair makes. I was trying to say so many times. I can't find anything about the 2 posts about this 911 guy. That was it, I guess. Driving around with a dog, I guess. I know his entire family abandoned him because he's such a fucking piece of shit. And then he was whining like, I can't believe they wouldn't even tell me like my niece was graduating or my cousin was this or that. I don't know. I'm really upset. Like I really want to fuck with this guy so bad. So bad. I don't know what the optics of this would be, but I really want to fuck with this guy. And you don't even know how much. Like I'm very protective of like people being fucking shitbags to my family, like so much. But we'll see. No guarantees. Yes. Yeah, there's one guy it looks like they've hired in the last probably 6 months at Dispatch, a guy named Andrew, and his post is out there like it's like a public thing, right? They posted like this is our new guy Andrew. I don't see, it doesn't even include his last name, but there's not like a bunch of hate underneath it saying this guy, fucked kids or something. I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be. It just says meet Andrew. Andrew began his time with us in January 2024. He quickly stepped up as now our addressing GIS coordinator. Andrew's customer service skills are top notch. Every call he takes, he does so with compassion and understanding. He even uses these skills when dealing with addressing, as he is so kind when providing information to other agencies that need it. Andrew feels that you never stop learning, blah, blah. That's it. Which I guess they didn't hire him. They promoted him. But I don't see anything else. I don't know. Oh, here's one. Sean. Sean has been with us since 2021, so I guess that's not who he's talking about. Johnny, or as everyone knows him, Tick. Or as everyone knows him, Tick. Tick has been in the industry for almost 30 years and with Unicoi County since 2020, so I guess that's not him. I don't know what he's talking about. They fucking hired a pedophile or some shit. And so apparently he claims someone made a fake Facebook profile with him in it. I don't know. Randy's a piece of shit. Fuck Randy. Anyways, that was my topic on my town. I fucking hate this guy. I'll give you one more before we leave, since the last part was just me ranting. Here's something to keep on your radar, chat. Actually, Legend, do you want to look into this? You like to research shit. A 30 inflatable dong flying around. I'll bust nuts. There you go. Here it is. This could be very interesting. It's definitely corrupt and should be fucked up, but it could be very interesting. By the way, if you see my TikTok post, I'm just trolling people. Like, obviously, I've not turned MAGA on TikTok. I'm just trolling people to see what their responses are. There you go. Gambia, Starlink, and the literal power of the United States forcing the hand of foreign countries.
Let me tell you a story that should be the biggest scandal in American foreign policy right now.
Oh, thank you.
Or here's another idea that's going to be very controversial.
Yeah, Randy.
You could shut the fuck up.
Randy. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it.
Just a few months ago, the U.S. ambassador to the Gambia walked into a government office in the capital city of Banjul, not to talk about democracy, not to talk about human rights, but to pressure a tiny West African country into approving a contract for Elon Musk's company, Starlink. And
What? Gambia. You know how Elon Musk is always complaining that he can't get Starlink in his South Africa because he's not black? They are saying that the Department of Homeland Security basically pressured Gambia into fast-tracking approval for Elon Musk's Starlink by threatening to withhold aid.
Not to talk about democracy, not to talk about human rights, but to pressure a tiny West African country into approving a contract for Elon Musk's company, Starlink. And when I say pressure, I mean real pressure. According to reporting from ProPublica, this ambassador started listing off all of the U.S. foreign aid that Gambia was receiving, things like infrastructure grants and electricity investments, and made it very clear that all of it could be on the chopping block if they didn't give Musk what he wanted.
Are you listening? In early February, Sharon Cromer, U.S. ambassador to Gambia, went to visit one of the country's cabinet ministers at his agency's headquarters above a partially abandoned strip mall off a dirt road. It had been 2 weeks since President Donald Trump took office, and Cromer had pressing business to discuss. She needed the minister to fall in line to help Elon Musk. They listed off all the foreign aid that they provide to Gambia and said all of it could be gone if Elon Musk doesn't get approved.
A deputy in the room said it felt like a threat. And as former State Department officials said,
a deputy in the room has said, yes, this happened, and it was a threat.
Infrastructure grants and electricity investments, and made it very clear that all of it could be on the chopping block if they didn't give Musk what he wanted. A deputy in the room said it felt like a threat. And as former State Department officials said, if this was done by another country, we'd call it corruption, because it is. This wasn't some rogue operation. This was the U.S. State.
Jabi's top deputy, Hassan Jallow, told ProPublica he saw Cromer's message as a veiled threat. If Starlink doesn't get its license, the U.S. could cut off the desperately needed funds. Quote, the implication were that the two were connected, Jallow said. How corrupt can you get?
If they didn't give Musk what he wanted. A deputy in the room said it felt like a threat. And as former State Department officials said, if this was done by another country, we'd call it corruption, because it is. This wasn't some rogue operation. This was the U.S. State Department acting as a sales team for a billionaire. And they weren't alone. Diplomats from other embassies were doing the same thing across Africa and Asia, pressuring governments to fast-track Starlink licenses, sometimes overriding local regulations and ignoring rules that other companies had to follow. Why? Because Elon Musk is now running the so-called Department of Government Efficiency under Trump. And the government isn't just helping him, they're helping him build an empire. This is corporate authoritarianism, American diplomacy being weaponized for one man.
But Elon Musk just wants to help out because he loves America. He's not even getting paid. He doesn't even make, he's sleeping on the floor. He doesn't even make money. In cables, multiple U.S. officials have said that for their foreign counterparts, helping Starlink, Elon Musk's company, is a chance to prove that their commitment to good relations with the United States is a chance to prove their commitment to good relations with the United States. In one country last month, the U.S. Embassy bragged that Starlink's license was approved despite concerns it wasn't abiding by the rules that its competitors had to follow. This was done by another country. We absolutely would call this corruption, said Christopher Harrison, who served as a high-level State Department official in the George W. Bush administration, because it is corruption. Helping U.S. businesses has long been part of the State Department's mission, but former ambassadors said they sought to do this by making the positive case for the benefits of U.S. investment. When seeking deals for U.S. companies, they said they took care to avoid the appearance of conflicts or leaving the impression that punitive measures were on the table if not approved. The Washington Post previously reported that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has instructed U.S. diplomats to help Starlink so it can beat its Chinese and Russian competitors. Multiple countries, including India, have sped up license approvals for Starlink to try to build goodwill in tariff negotiations with Trump administration, the Post reported. How can any of this be legal?
Game, and it's just the beginning. Follow for part 2, where I'll show you how Musk pulled a similar move here in the U.S. after a hurricane in North Carolina. And if you want the full story now, you know where.
You can read the full story at ProPublica. I don't think he's done a part 2 yet, but we'll be on the lookout for it. And the last person we're going to check out tonight, I don't know if you want to look into that. I think it's interesting. The broader conspiracy, not just Gambia legend. If you want to look into it, that's cool. If not, I'm sure other people are covering it already. Sailing with Phoenix. It's been a few days since we checked in with our boys sailing across the ocean. We'll check out his most recent video. Day 17. It's calm.
Day 17, sailing from Oregon to Hawaii with my cat. A lot of people have asked me what it's like to be famous. I don't think I'm famous. It doesn't feel like I'm famous. None of this feels like it's happened because the Pacific Ocean literally does not care. After that clip, I ran out of iPhone storage, so I can't remember what I said, and I can't reenact what I said. Like, I remember what I said, but I can't re-say what I said because it feels weird. I can't do that, if that makes sense. So I have to wait for my chakra to like recharge to re-say what I had said. And now I'm making coffee, and it's the next day actually. But yeah, I haven't had coffee in a few days, so I'm really looking forward to that. And you know, it was a rocky and rolly night. Tonight was really rolly, like rollier than most nights.
He's still alive, so.
But yeah, so thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks.
I think he's been seasick a couple times, and it is disorienting being on a boat. You can even see his stove. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on a sailboat or a lot of boats. Like, his stove even rocks back and forth, depending on the waves and shit. And he said he's been really rolly. I know he gets seasick anytime he goes down in the engine compartment. And you can tell how bad it's rolling back and forth.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing, right? To go out on the ocean like that. It's strange. So, especially being out there with no one to talk. He's just talking to his phone. No one's talking back, right? He's just doing his thing. It does seem like a little bit of like weird losing your mind is kind of setting in, right? But it's still fun to keep up with him. It's day 17. He's over halfway there. He's still alive. Him and his cat named Phoenix. We'll keep checking back. I think they're planning a little reception party when he gets to Hawaii. There was a thing on his stories that was like, if you're a fan, you live anywhere nearby, can you be there kind of deal? So that'd be cool to watch. But I'm proud of him. He's making it. All right, guys. Consider supporting the show if you can. That's how we pay the bills around here, and the bills keep coming no matter what. If you want to support the show, go to coldbeer.fund. We greatly use your support right now until we get some more things figured out. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust I don't like using Starlink right now. I definitely wouldn't trust them as a foreign nation.
And tell them exactly who they are.
With the weird ties Elon has.
Forking balls. You don't have balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off. It's about to get lit. Get the place.
We're building a pyramid.
Stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the beds. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer?
I'm currently riding an... What would you call that? It's like basically like an argument to the VA. It's a lot to do, like stating my symptoms, how they affect me, what's going on, what my day-to-day life looks like, how that affects like my relationships with my kids and my wife, and it takes a lot out of me just writing it down, right? It's just typing it out. It's a weird thing to do, and I am putting that all together for a package to submit to the VA. I had a phone interview with a doctor a few weeks back, and it lasted 6.5 minutes. I got pretty upset, and the doctor was just like, "It's fine. No, we're fine. I got enough." And I don't feel like they got enough, but it's not my fault. Like, I don't know how else. Like, obviously I'm gonna get upset when talking about things that upset me.
Wait. Stop.
I don't understand. So it was slotted for an hour. I was supposed to talk to a doctor for an hour, and the phone call logs, it lasted 6.5 minutes. And she's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's all right." Which I guess she doesn't want me to get like upset and go fucking blow my brains out or something. But I don't. That's what the VA uses to see how I'm doing. Right. That's their evidence. I don't feel like I did well, but I don't know how to do better. You know what I mean? It's like a game where I always lose. What I need to do maybe next time is sit down with a list of all the points I want to hit and not get sidetracked or upset, and try to make sure I get through everything to make sure they have everything, I guess. I don't know. So now I'm trying to type it all out as like an addendum. Right, like, hey, these are the things I didn't get to say on the phone because the phone call was only 6.5 minutes. I don't know if that'll work or not.
Bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
You don't have those guts, cause
I don't know.
you're a pussy. You're
Thank you guys for being here.
wearing aviator glasses in your
It helps.
mother's basement, and I won't even give out your dime store handle, because that's really pathetic.